Jesse Waters is always saying and doing gay coded stuff. He's always talking about how masculine men should be, not using straws, etc. So it comes as no surprise to me, a student of Jesse Waters' desire to prove how straight and how butch he is. I think it's just an interesting case study that he loves to call Trump daddy and talk about daddy. Put up this tweet. Europe calls Trump daddy, crying, laughing emoji. If you stab daddy in the back, you're going to get more than a spanking. Someone in the Pentagon just leaked, and now daddy might give them the death penalty. So this is weird as I could ever imagine. We're talking about spanking, leaking, and then he goes super dark with the daddy stuff to the death penalty.
That's because these people are not smart. And Jesse Waters knows. Donald Trump watches Fox News. Donald Trump loves to think that he's in charge and everybody's kissing his ass and that he's daddy. So he goes all in. But the daddy metaphor is so disgusting. Like the president of the United States, who is a complete buffoon, making an ass of himself every single day of his presidency, ruining everything that America is proud of. And then for Jesse Waters, that just tells you how limited he is intellectually.
I think it's more Freudian personally than limited intellect. I think there is a shit ton of Freudian references from Jesse Waters that I could go on and on about, but we've already done a video on that. All right, next up we have a video of MAGA trying to embrace the daddy nickname for Trump. Play the clip.
A lot of people in America have come to think of President Trump as a sort of father figure. And indeed, this morning, we even saw the leadership of NATO refer to him as daddy. So maybe in these resolutions going forward, we could have a little bit of recognition of like daddy Trump is who we're going to oppose or something like that. Get creative with it. But in the meantime, please vote no on these resolutions.
You don't want to know what daddy means in my community.
All right, to my point about Jesse Waters and a lot of MAGA men, there is a there is a sexuality scarcity there. There is a tepid footing in their sexuality because there's always this gay coded or bisexual coded stuff that enters into the conversation. And to the point about Trump arriving at NATO and Mark Rutte saying something about daddy and sending him a text where it appears that he's fawning over Trump. This is what's super important to understand about Donald Trump. Whoever is in his ear right before he speaks or tweets is the person whose opinion he megaphones. And so all of these countries in NATO have the same psychological profile on Donald Trump that Putin has, that Kim Jong-un has, that Viktor Orban has, that Benjamin Netanyahu has. So they want to keep NATO together. Putin's number one goal is to completely dismantle NATO because that means then he can advance straight into Europe. So the European allies have been fawning over Trump with superficial praise as a play to get him interested in staying in NATO, because Trump doesn't have the wherewithal to be in NATO because it's the best thing for the country and the best thing for the American people. His only gut is who's complimenting me the most. So that's where that comes from. Well, after spending a couple of days with all of our allies at NATO, he says this about Zelensky after he sits down with Zelensky. Play the clip.
Couldn't have been nicer. I think he'd like to see an end to this. I do. I think what I took from the meeting couldn't have been nicer, actually, but I took from the meeting that he'd like to see it end. I think it's a great time to end it. I'm going to speak to Vladimir Putin and see if we can get it ended.
Pumps?
Here's what I think. Obviously, everybody knows Trump is a easy to manipulate, malleable tool. And he's saying how nice Zelensky is after he humiliated him in the Oval Office. And I'm with you 100%. I think this is a strategic move on behalf of NATO. I have zero confidence that Putin is going to look at Trump's leadership and say, you know what, let's end the war with Ukraine now because Trump's leadership is so strong. I have zero faith in that. And what I keep thinking is, does anybody in his administration realize how they're playing him? Or are they just also in on it too and feeding his ego that they think, oh my gosh, everyone at NATO worships Trump and calls him daddy? Or do you think they realize the manipulation?
I think that you have the worst of the worst, that what they're looking for is access to power. And that's what gets them off. And the scariest thing that I have seen about Trump 2.0 is whoever has his ear that last moment, then he puppets and echoes what that person's ideas are. So he's just been around NATO. He's just sat with the Zelensky, and now he's going to call Putin and be tough on him. The second he gets off the phone with Putin, Putin is literally playing 4D or 5D chess.
Right.
Trump will do a 180. And this is breathtakingly dangerous. And he's able to continue to do this because he's surrounded himself with sycophants. They are Trump loyalists first and foremost. There isn't rational thought. There isn't a nuanced conversation we can get into other than that these people are at the top of the personality cult. But just to prove this point, he gets on the phone with Benjamin Netanyahu, and then he puts out this crazy nut job tweet. Pop this up. An anonymous, the Twitter account paraphrases it and says, Trump says, and we quote, justice cannot be allowed. And this is pertaining to charges against Benjamin Netanyahu. He's asking Israeli courts not to prosecute Benjamin Netanyahu for fraud, embezzlement, and bribery. Trump says it's up to the United States to save Benjamin Netanyahu. And this is what I have to say about this. Nothing about Benjamin Netanyahu serves the American public, period. Nothing about Benjamin Netanyahu helps the case to assuage anti-Semitism and have a better understanding. Real leadership in this moment would look something like this. Benjamin Netanyahu is a complete dictator / dictator wannabe who is not serving the needs of Jewish people in Israel or the Jewish people abroad. He is damaging the brand. Exact same thing is going on with Donald Trump. He is not servicing American interest or the needs and wants of American people, and he is damaging every aspect of the American brand. There's something we all have in common. Iranians, Jewish people, American people. The overwhelming majority of us all want the same thing. We want to feel connected to other human beings. We want to have freedom, privacy, security, and safety. And instead of focusing on what we all have in common, dictators focus on these other things. And Donald Trump, I'm not even going to read you all the whole tweet, but it's the greatest hits. It's witch hunt. He should be able to commit crimes. America's got to save him. And it's just so obvious to me that Mossad probably has the exact same compromising information on Donald Trump that Vladimir Putin has.
Well, it's not hard to get it, I'm sure. But I find it interesting that he goes on and he talks about these criminal charges against Benjamin Netanyahu, all of which mirror those charges that Donald Trump had against him. I mean, these are two criminals leading nations that are now bombing another country together. That's terrifying.
And none of this serves either country.
No.
None of this serves any larger goal except for two people that want to cling on to power. Everything else under that is full-blown propaganda, and the American public has been propagandized for decades, which brings me back to the mayoral race in New York. Brad Landon, a Jew who ran against Zohran Mamdani. This is a perfect example of how people that are from different faiths, different backgrounds, actually have more in common than less. There is a huge Islamophobic uprising about Mamdani in the Jewish community, saying that he's an anti-Semite. Well, a lot of Jews in New York came out and said, we have to stand together. None of our leaders are serving us. Netanyahu is completely damaging everything that is Jewish. And I think a core Jewish tenet would be that they don't want to see anybody be a refugee. They don't want to see anybody go hungry. Netanyahu seems to want that explicitly. And so I want to play this clip from the opponent of Mamdani. And this is just, I think, a fantastic moment of coming together in this horrific time on earth where you see all of the dictators of the world unite against freedom. Watch this fantastic moment.
Andrew Cuomo is in the past. He is not the present or future of New York City. Good fucking riddance.
Okay, so Brad Lander is a Jewish politician. Zoran Mamdani is a Muslim politician. They support each other because at the end of the day, they are able to put the needs of the masses over their own. And that's true leadership. Please support our show by supporting our sponsor. You guys, this episode today is sponsored by iRestore. I've personally been using their serums and shampoos. They are absolutely fantastic. The Revive Plus Max Growth Kit, it's like a full-on hair care squad that works from root to tip. It includes the advanced hair growth formula, thickening shampoo, thickening conditioner, and growth activator serum. Everything you need for healthier, fuller hair.
What I like about the iRestore helmet that you wear, it's comfortable. You can do it anywhere, and it really makes a difference.
Yeah, it's this really cool red light therapy, you guys. It's amazing how much technology has come to help promote hair growth. Listener, give yourself the gift of hair confidence this year for a limited time only. Our listeners are getting a huge discount on the iRestore Professional when you use code IHIP at iRestore.com. Head over to iRestore.com and use code IHIP for our show's exclusive discounts on the iRestore Professional. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Hair loss is so very frustrating. You don't have to fight it alone thanks to iRestore. Okay, now back to the news and something that I think hilarious is happening in New York. The entitlement that billionaires feel and the power that they feel that they have contributed to society is one of the biggest lies on the planet. And you have Trump, sycophantic, nutjob billionaire Bill Ackman, who every day gets on Twitter and just humiliates and emasculates himself. This is a Harvard-educated man that has been red-pilled, and this man has reaped all of the benefits of unregulated capitalism that New York City and the United States of America could possibly throw at him. So it should come as no surprise to you that he's having a complete meltdown over New Yorkers turning out in an overwhelming majority for something different, maybe something that benefits them and not the asshole Bill Ackman. Put up his tweets. I have a great idea in New York City. I will share it as soon as I can. I was a bit depressed when I woke up this morning, but I am now optimistic. We are looking into legal issues. Here's what I have to say, Bill Ackman. You only see yourself. You never think. This is what's so corrupt about these billionaires. They never think, you know, I have been so fortunate that I won at capitalism. I have been so fortunate that I have a political party, the Republican Party, that goes out and lies to all of these people all the time that are working a couple of jobs, that can't afford health insurance, that might file medical bankruptcy and might even die because they can't afford treatments for their cancer. They don't even think about that. All they think about is themselves nonstop. And it's just unbelievable to me that we have fostered a attitude in this country that you have this working class of people that feel sorry and feel empathy for billionaires, and that they buy into this bullshit that he thinks he might have to move. Well, guess what? You can move wherever the fuck you want, Bill Ackman. I'll tell you what, why don't you move to a red state where all of the anti-Semites there are the evangelical Christians that want to use you as a prop in their apocalyptic fantasy before you burn in hell. So, you know, you might think the grass is greener, Bill Ackman, but what you don't realize is you're living in full-blown green grass. Maybe as a billionaire, maybe have something else instead of, I want to go to Mars, I want to do this, I want to do that. Maybe think, you know what I want to do? I want to help people. I have all this money. I want to do something that actually makes a change. So what if I paid 20% more in taxes and somebody gets a free bus ride to work and they get health insurance? You know what? Maybe that's what I want my children and grandchildren to read about what I did. Instead of being a big fucking pussy and packing up your billions of dollars and moving out of Manhattan because the people spoke. It's just so disgusting. And what's so disgusting about it is how many millions of Americans have been brainwashed to fight for the rights of billionaires in the name of their faith over fighting for the marginalized and for the masses. It's really, really a uniquely disgusting American problem.
Well, and I'll tell you who is the billionaires that are helping other people, that are thinking collectively and not just about themselves, are the women. You see
Yes.
Christine Walmart, you see Mackenzie Scott, you see Steve Jobs' widow. I mean, these women, Melinda Gates,
Mhm.
I mean, they are going hard in the paint for everybody's rights, for everybody's freedoms. And it may or may not have anything to do with this, but in my mind, it goes back to the little bitty white men are never happy because they can't have enough. Even when they're billionaires, they still need more to fill them up because they are so profoundly insecure.
I think you're exactly right, Pumps. And shout out to the women who seem to be on the front lines of fighting this. But this is an opportunity, Democratic establishment. This is the moment. And if you guys keep going center, you're going to tear this party apart. And I want every Democratic establishment candidate that might just happen or in the DNC to listen or watch this. This isn't just a New York thing.
Right.
My female friends and male friends that are in red state, Oklahoma City, have moved further to the left because they see these moderate policies as just a holding spot. And there's actually never any progress. And so you guys need to put up, or we're going to shut every single one of you up, because there is a movement happening in the United States right now. And we need to fix this unregulated capitalism that only serves the 1%. And you know what? You're just as gross as MAGA if you're going to go service their benefits and not the benefits of the people. All right. That's all we have for today. We'll see you guys later.